Over here in Portland, Oregon, what do you think we're going to be handing out for Halloween this year?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Mm-mm.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to be handing out Narcan.
Maybe not. I
Maybe
mean,
not.
they sell it over the counter, so it's a little expensive.
It is expensive.
So
We better stick to the full candy bars. If this is the first time listening to us, welcome, welcome.
welcome to our podcast.
Ooh, we're going to dive into bring it back to the season.
It's spooky season, bitches.
It's spooky season. It's funny. You see different things. Like, I don't celebrate Halloween. I don't do it.
I'm just saying, spooky season for us in this household, we've said it many times, all year round.
All year round. The reason why is we bring it back to our ancestors. If you think about it, hocus pocus.
Well, and what we don't talk a lot about is what people call our woo-woo witchy side, which we've touched base on, but we don't really dive too into it.
Yeah. I mean, they already lit the black candle. The Virgin already lit the black candle out there.
Let's do it. Get that negative energy.
They already did it, and I mean, they go in, they dig up, ancient tombs that they probably should be just leaving alone.
People don't leave shit alone.
Just leave it alone. You know what I mean? Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. So, the movies, where do you think that they get the history from for like Hocus Pocus?
And the depiction.
And these movies become like really popular, but then nobody wants to actually believe where they get some of that history from.
I think a movie that represents, I don't know, because like Hocus Pocus is great, but I think like for practical magic is like my jam.
It is, but where do you think they get that
right
from? It is actually documented in history, and we're going to be going over that. We're going to dive back in and why Jewel and I still practice the stories that our ancestors told us. And we typically lean towards more natural way, right? And this is where it comes from. So back in the day, before the Christians formed, there were different types of people, just like there are today, right?
Different belief systems.
And one thing that was documented a long time ago was during this type of a season when summer is ended and it's going into fall and it's about ready to be winter, they've documented that there's a period of time when it was unclear if somebody was walking around that had passed away or if that person was alive. There was a blurred line at one.
Couldn't tell.
They couldn't tell. There's different documentations within our history that shows during the season of a veil. And the closer and closer you get to October 31st, that veil thins.
Right.
And when we're talking about the veil, that is
The other side.
to the
Sorry.
where do you think that, that's when Jewel and I know that we can talk to our loved ones on the
Yes.
other side.
I mean, like we say,
It's been a tradition.
We talk to our ancestors probably almost every day, all the time, whenever it's needed. But we know, especially during this season, they are definitely more reachable. And we always do it. Like we always make the attempt. We always communicate. I don't know. And it's just, I don't know what kind of feeling it is. It for me, it's just like a peaceful feeling for me, I guess, in a sense. Like,
And
it's like
sometimes you tear up.
They kind of help bring you at ease of what's going on with you. Because, like, sometimes if you're in such a negative mindset, you can't reach them throughout the year.
Right.
So it's really nice when you get to really talk to them.
And I got to tell you something about Jewel's named after my grandmother. And one thing is, she would talk about her like she knew her. Like she knew her. She remembers her. I mean, she would tell me stories. And when I think back about it, it was during the period of time when the veil started thinning. And she actually swore up and down that she knew her.
And I've never met her in my life. She passed away before I was born. She passed away when my brother was one.
No, your brother was just born.
Just born.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that gives you, like, my brother was first born, and then it was been a minute.
And I'm like, she was tripping me out one time. I'm like, well, how do you know that? How do you know that? You've never even met her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did I tell her those stories? And I'm thinking back, I'm like, no, I didn't tell her those stories.
But we always, what I always do know is that we always did have some sort of item of hers for representation, whether it be something she knitted, something she made with her hands, like for their holiday, or a sweatshirt of hers, or her china. Like we would have something, and what I don't know if people, those are her items, so I feel like her spirit is with those items in a sense. So I feel like maybe that could be why, like, because we've always had something of hers. So then when that timing comes, I was just easier access in a sense.
Right. Yeah. So way back in the day, of course, if you called out something like this, you were put in jail. You were, if you even talked about it, they deemed you like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to throw you in the slammer. You can't talk about this. It's against the law.
Anything spiritually, which doesn't make any sense, because a lot of the time these people that are doing this, they believe in God, and God is a spiritual being. So, so are our ancestors, they're spiritual beings. So it's like, what the fuck? But yeah, it's just kind of really upsetting, because I mean, like, because I wasn't there. Crash. I wasn't there, but like, if I had to like think of being back in those times and stuff like that, I feel like, because what we do as our woo-woo stuff, like, we have always been known to not cause harm, because if you cause harm towards one, it comes back to you like way bad, like way harder. So honestly, what I think is they noticed these differences in these different people. They didn't like it. They shunned them out. And then they started fighting back. And that's when they're like, oh, they're bad witches. So I feel like these people would use their powers for good things. And these other people would see them and say, oh, they're different. Like, we don't like that. Just like similar with how things are now. But into a bigger degree where they would be like
Yep.
killing them. And so then I feel like there were times when these people who have these powers, they fought back because like enough was enough.
Right.
And then it was painted, oh, there's bad witches. These witches are bad. They're evil. Which is evil. It's like demonic. It like started transitioning and changing, which isn't. That's not. And I think a lot of people who are Wiccans or witches or believe in the woo-woo spiritual stuff will know will know the truth. Because
Right.
literally, I think within any of those things of whoever you are, you do harm towards one. It is said the harm that is going to be coming back to you is like 2 times, 10 times worse.
Right. So, I mean, let's even take it back. So, even before the rally where the Christians started coming, so let's take this back because they started noticing, the thinning of the veil. So they started dressing up in costumes. Everybody started dressing up in costume during this time, right? Because spirits were coming and they couldn't tell the difference.
Right.
And so to fake them out, they would dress up in costumes.
Right.
And try to blend. So that way the spirit wouldn't recognize that
Right.
person, which you think about it like, why don't you want a spirit to recognize you? Well, they're saying that there was bad spirits and there's good spirits. And that would be the same as if those that are walking above the earth right now, there are good people and there are bad people.
Yeah. It's the same.
And then also there are spirits out there that didn't have, like, when they passed away,
Like a closure.
they didn't have a closure, or it was violent.
Right.
It was a violent way that they passed away. And so anything to get the attention of somebody walking around the earth was a big thing.
I believe also who the spirit attaches himself to or what is also different because of like, I just believe in like the same belief system as like, I can't remember what it was that I watched, but it is from a movie, but where like spirits have a mission kind of thing. And like, they don't get to like pass on to something else until they finish that like mission, like making sure like their relatives or somebody they really cared about, like they did. I don't know. I don't remember what it's from, but I honestly believe there's some spirits that have the comfort of just staying with their loved ones.
And some of the witches, they did do spells, and some of them it wasn't to harm. It was, okay, this was an evil person. We're going to bind this. This was and later on, we're going to bind this. We're going to take care of this. Done deal. And then you're like, later on, they open that can of worms again. And it's been, centuries later. And so that's actually a true thing.
And this is where I like to call out the people who don't like it or like, oh, witches, or stop celebrating birthdays, stop saying happy birthday, wish you happy birthday. Like, quit making a wish on your birthday, quit wishing on a star. All of those things are spirituality.
Right.
So literally educate yourself some more. Like I see it too often where there are people who try to talk so negatively about us type of people who believe so much into the spiritual stuff. And I'm just like, so do you. So I'm like, but in a different way. So it's like, what's going on, man?
So we also have, the history of, so we talked about the veil and why they would dress up, and that tradition still carries till this day, except people don't know why everybody would dress in costume. And that kind of shocks me nowadays because they're dressing up and they don't know why and where that came from.
Right.
So,
I know. And I just told her this one video that I saw where it was this lady and her baby. It was like, we don't celebrate Halloween, but we like to dress up to have a little fun. And then somebody like stitched it, was like,
Yep.
that is Halloween. That is Halloween. So I'm like, people educate, learn about it.
nowadays, people make their own brooms out of
Yes.
natural items, and they do them for a reason. So if they choose lavender, it's for a reason. If they choose, and it's funny to me because there's some people that will do the bundles of lavender and do certain things, and they don't know where that came from.
They're just doing it to do
They're
it.
just doing it. But actually, the broom was associated with a female back in the day because, of course, you know why. We're women. We had to take care of everything in the household, right? So,
Yeah, I guess.
again, before the Christians started forming back in the day, some guy goes, I saw a woman on a broom flying. Saw a woman on a broom flying. And guess what? Got thrown in jail, dude. Nobody, no, you're crazy. No. But the broom is associated with a female. And it's just like the pitchfork was associated with a male. And nowadays, a lot of people use the broom. And what it actually does is it can cleanse your house. So why don't you tell them the ritual that you did, Jewel, on one of our homes?
So, well, we came from actually another home that had a very, very negative spirit. Something must happen to them where they were not happy. They were not happy with anybody really being in that home. So it kind of was very fresh in our brains. So we were like, okay, we don't want to have this happen again. So I guess it's like swept, cleansed our house. And I mean, I guess there's different ones, but the chant that we did was you have to start from the very, very tip top opening of your house.
Or your back of where your house would be.
And you have to stop and basically literally sweep every inch and corner of the house. So before there was even furniture in there, we went in and swept the house, but said our chant. And it was a group effort. So it was, I think, 3 of us doing it. And you do it all, and then you kind of end the chant sweeping it out of your front door and then shutting the door. And it's supposed to rid of all the bad negative spirits. But that isn't like a do-all thing. And so we also...
But cleanse our house.
Yes. We would have stones for... like safety reasons in our windows. One type of thing that was like a reflecting mirror that would help to
Scare.
hopefully have not bad people come in. And if they did, my mom did a thing where we would know they would trip over the the like, it's not really a step, but the like little ledge thing. And so, I mean, it happened a few times, and then we noticed it with some people, and we were like, oh, wow, well, yeah, makes sense. So
Yeah.
certain things like that.
And
You,
we
you
would
would
put
take oil, certain kinds, and what was it, a star or something in the corners of the windows, all windows, literally all windows. We had in the upper bathroom, it was like this weird glass sheer window thing, but it was like cubed, and she still did it in that.
Yep.
But had certain different stones above things, and it was different. But yeah, and then also we have wands too. So
Yeah. So the broom can have different reasons,
Yeah.
right? So, and people made these, and you still can make them right now. You can have like broom parties, and for like, if you wanted to make your broom out of lavender, you can do that. And Jules' broom is more of an example of kind of how it was. So you take the sticks and all of that, and you just intertwine them and then wrap them up. And then everything that you're doing, it's your intention. So my intention is to not have any bad energy.
And that's the
my
thing.
intention.
When you're doing these things, you have to make sure you're in a good headspace. You can't do it when things are going very, very wrong in your thing. You got to make sure you cleanse that out first before you do this stuff. Because if you are going in there with negative intentions, you're not going to have something that's going to help you.
Right. Not at
Practice
all.
makes perfect, because I believe it's happened with me.
Right, right.
So
Well, yeah. I mean, we could take it back to that one house that we lived on, the very first house that when we moved back here from Winlock.
yeah,
I mean, I think we've talked about it before on the show, but we can refresh your memory.
we like making candles.
Yes, we were making candles.
I keep telling my mom we should do it again this year. We just don't have the stuff. And
yeah, and when you make those candles, if your intention is for this candle to relax you, then while you're making that candle, your intention is going to be relaxing.
I feel like anytime we've ever done candles, it's never been stressful. It's always been a really fun, peaceful time. And you also have the essential oils that are bringing you into this calmness. And we've done it with different people. Me and you have brought people in, and they've loved it. And I've wanted to do it. My friend wants us to do it together. But I don't know. I think because of that specific house, there was that big negative energy. Didn't matter what we were bringing, putting out.
So this is what happened. Her and I are, making our candles.
But this is okay. I'm going to tell you this. This whole thing is one scenario. This all was in one situation.
Just one, and there was multiple things that happened in that house, but this is just one. So we're making candles. And, we have good intentions, Our spirits are high. We're having great time.
Yes.
We're on one side of the kitchen, and I'm like, Joel, where'd the knives go or whatever? We turn around, and the knives go flinging.
Yeah, we were in some sort of opening door frame, and we were kind of like looking around, and they went, I think, right next to my side, and went, fing. And we're like, there's the knife. Okay, what the fuck? I almost got stabbed.
Yep.
And I think me and you were the only ones who witnessed it, but I think somebody who was in there heard it. I think John heard it. But that wasn't it.
So then we put the candles to dry.
You have to let them set. So like over a 24-hour period at least. So we have all of our candles in a spot, and because I know there was one candle that I made, and it was the most perfect, beautifulest candle that I have ever seen in my whole entire life. And I was so proud of it because I could remember it was a tall, skinny one. And we go, and I think we're cleaning up stuff. We set them back, and we go into the kitchen, and then we go back to look at them. I think we were going to maybe take pictures, show them something. and they're missing.
It was gone.
And I was like, what the fuck?
We looked everywhere,
And it never was found.
and it never turned back up again.
And then within that same week, I don't know if you remember this, my wallet went missing.
Yeah.
And I looked for it for a long time. And then it was sitting right on top of my hamper with all my clothes, right on top. And I'm like, Mom, this is freaking me out.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It freaks me out because I literally searched everywhere for it. And then it just to be sitting right on top, I'm like,
And so then we moved from that house into the house that we did the broom cleanse with.
And it was an older home.
It was an older home. It was built in 1800, or finished being built in 1800.
1900. It was 1900.
Oh, 1900. Yeah,
and there's
1900.
they even have something there that is like of a decoration. Hopefully they didn't get rid of it because I think that's pretty cool. And
Yeah. Of the original doctor that lived
and
in
it said,
the house.
well, and it has the stone outside.
Oh, okay.
It says 1900 on it.
Yeah.
It's engraved, and it's like a statue stone thing that's been there for over 100 years.
So because we were moving into that house, we're like, okay, we don't want to bring that negative energy. And I brought in a head witch to help me to make sure to cleanse everything. And we never did really have any problems in that house. I mean, I never felt that.
No.
I never felt like
The things that occurred
evil.
for me were right in the very beginning. When we had just moved stuff in, me and my brother's partner heard like furniture dragging, and you were just getting ready, so you weren't dragging furniture.
Right.
So that was odd, and I think John was outside, so there was
Yeah.
nothing like that happening. And then there was something that happened with my brother, but I don't.
But
was,
we ended up squashing it. So.
but nothing really ever to the swords.
Nothing negative, man.
No.
I never felt a negative. No. So why do we carry on our ancestors? The stories, all of that. Why do we do that? It's because, I mean, that's really our roots, that's our roots. That's what, it's like, okay, with Christmas, you have to believe, right? It's believe Santa. It's the same thing here. You have to take it back. If you think about it, Catholic Church, All Saints. What is All Saints? Is the meaning of All Saints? So, look it up. It dates back to those times. So, a lot of things that we do is we focus on trying to handle with the best natural way possible.
I think something's cool that like we started within our family generation. It may not be with everybody. I can probably guarantee you nobody else does this. But everybody sneezes. But we've always felt it to be odd. Mom and I have always looked at each other. We're like, we don't want to say bless you. Like, what the fuck? Bless you for what?
Well,
you're
evil
sneezing,
spirits. You're trying to get the evil spirits out of it.
but you're doing a bodily fluid, and it's like gross. So I like to say excuse me when I do that. But we have created this new saying where we say trees.
Trees.
And when my daughter breaks it down, it makes even more sense. She goes, Mom, when the wind blows, the trees sneeze because the leaves fall. And I'm like, you are fucking smart. Like, you get it. And she, like, it's just like we're so into nature, and it's like us within her, and she just like gets it. But like, I didn't even come up with that. She came up with that, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, trees, bro. So that's our thing. So when we sneeze up in this household, we say trees.
So this time in the year, the kids.
Yeah, speaking of sneezing.
The kids, they go back to school.
They get the plague.
They get the plague all over again.
Oh my
and
God.
then it's like they hadn't seen each other.
I'm just saying, guys, I love my kids. They hopefully can't hear me. But they are gross gremlins, man. Like, I love them. They are the best thing that's ever happened to me, but they are gross gremlins. Like, they're not mindful of ours. Like, we get something gross on our hand. We're like, ew, gross. Let's wipe it off. They get something gross. They're just like, move on. And then it builds the stickiness. And then they get more stuff because it's sticky. And it's like, that applies with everything. Yeah. Like, kids aren't mindful of like, like
coughing,
the shoulder cuff or
yeah.
covering.
I mean,
they're
I
just
think
like plut.
Yep. I mean, I think they were doing better during the COVID.
No, for sure. These kids know some shit at a young age.
That normally other kids would.
But
know.
Again, it also is within the parenting.
Yeah.
Like, some parents need to have some common sense. And relay that to their children.
Right.
Because I'm just going to say this. Like, we're talking about start of the school year. This school year didn't even start. We go do the registration stuff for Emma's school. Simon and I hear two motherfucking kids hacking Flemmy, and Simon and I are like, dodge. We're like,
you're like, deuces.
Out of here. Like, what is happening? It is so gross. And then I can't remember where else we were at. I think maybe I was with you and we were hearing like some lady hacking and we were like, get away from us. It's just like, I don't know. Like, we had common sense where we were going to go to a birthday party. You and my dad are sick and it just wasn't going to work. So we were like, we're not going to go. We don't want to get everybody else sick. Da, 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 da. Some people don't do that. Some people are just like, let's just keep pushing through it. And I'm going to speak on this a little bit. I've said this, like, my daughter's school district can work on some things for sure, but I appreciate the rules or boundaries they have for sickness and for children going to school. I like it right now. I don't like that not every school district within our state doesn't abide by that.
Right.
There are some school districts, I'm not going to say them, I know what I'm going to say my daughters, but they are allowing kids to go to school sick. And I don't...
Even with COVID.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Because, like, for me, like, yes, COVID, because it's, like, pretty bad. But all sicknesses, I'm like, we need to be mindful. And, like, we're in that season.
Yeah.
Everybody's gathering again together. We got to be mindful and...
Yeah, so there are certain. I mean, Jill's going to go to the farm today, and she's asking me, okay, what do you want from the farm? And the reason why she's asking is because we need to do a couple things, like your local honey. We need to stock up on your local honey. The reason why is, there's preventative things that you can do during the season, and not wait until you get sick.
Because people don't think about this. They'll just get honey and think like all honey is like doable. You need to get the honey that is within your local stuff because that is what the bugs are going to be pollinating and bringing out. And that's what's going to be coming out into your air. Because every area is going to be different in what's happening. So that's why it's huge to get as closely as possible to whatever is in your area.
Right.
And luckily these farm places are within 30, 40 minutes. So they're pretty close.
So a couple, woo-woo tips during sick season is, you can, now would be the time to grab your honey, grab some garlic, and start
fermenting.
Yep. And then that is not...
I think you had to do it for just a week.
So grab that, and that's like a preventative. That's like something that you would do to prevent, illnesses.
But I would say, because there's some people who can't stomach it, so if you can't, try and work it in there separately. Work in that honey in there in a daily intake and that garlic. Heavily, especially the garlic. If you look up garlic has so many beneficial health properties. Like, it's good for your teeth. It's good for your gut health. It's good for immunity. Like, it's super good. And so it's like same thing with honey.
But if you're somebody like me who already already got sick and you're really trying to hack it, and that's not going to work by taking that. You're going to have to actually crush the real garlic, raw garlic, and you need to let it set for about like out room temperature for about 10 minutes at the most. And what is going to save you is those juices that come out right there immediately.
Yes. That core center of the garlic is very crucial. The root.
And it's that juice that acts like an antibiotic.
Yeah.
And by taking antibiotics that the doctors give you, it starts breaking down other things within your body that cannot be healthy too.
It actually deplenishes your immune system.
Yeah.
It makes you more susceptible to get sick. But within that, talking about the medicine, because people will heavily push cold medicine, and cold medicine it's actually very bad. It could give you negative effects in the long run. It's not good for you. I think the only time to have necessary any type of medicine is when you have a fever that you absolutely cannot break. So then that's when it's like, do something to break your fever.
So my sinuses ended up swelling so bad that it was like puffed up and I could see it, and it's down a lot. I can touch it. It's down a lot. But so the things that work on that naturally, would be a humidifier, and making sure you put the right type of, cleanse in there. But I'm going to tell you something about sea salt, and I'm going to tell you something about naturally steaming the side of your nose, because you can go directly into the shower and have it as warm as you can have it and just have it sit there, right on the side of where and if you have a headache, do it on that. But at the same time, we're going to talk about sea salt, because sea salt has 82 minerals that benefit the body. Okay. One of them, it can get rid of bacteria. And you don't have to shove it up your nose, but just having it steamed up your nose helps get any bacteria. It has this magnesium in it. If you put the salt on your tongue, it starts opening up the cells in your body. So when you start drinking your water, your cells are accepting the water more to stay hydrated. And this works for if you have diarrhea, if you've vomited a lot, all of those kinds of things, making sure that you're staying hydrated. It's a trick. You can't use table salt. Table salt is really bad for you. It has bleach in it. They bleach it out.
It has no minerals to it
No
at all.
minerals at all. But Celtic sea salt is great. Yeah, and it has 82 minerals that your body needs.
If you got pots like me, you got all different types of salt usually. I got like 3 different kinds, and they all have minerals and they're beneficial. It's pink Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, and the Redmond real salt. So all of them got minerals, because especially to your health, you always want to make sure you're putting in something that's going to be beneficial to your health, not negative to your health. So it's like, when you really think about it, when you sit back and think of the foods that you intake, and you're like, okay, is this going to give me nutrients that I need? Or is this going to be deplenishing me, making me feel more tired, feel groggy? I think hugely something that we learned within this year is the salt water.
And they're not going to tell you that.
At a safe level too, not extensively a lot. You don't need a lot.
Yeah, and again, let's go back to that garlic. I know that some people will say, okay, in order to use it for an antibiotic, you would have to do, 4 cloves a day. I don't recommend that, because I recommend somebody with
I think max 2 cloves.
2 cloves, and at separate times, because somebody who's not used to that, it's gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I think max is 2 cloves a day.
But if you see a natural doctor, they might recommend something more. But you would have to be seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we follow our ancestors. It, we've tried the we've tried a couple, ways before, and it just didn't seem like it worked, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to call it out like it is. I know for certain someone in our ancestry fucked up. And me and my friend figured it out also within his same ancestry. We got generational cursed. Just saying. The universe doesn't give us a break. And they're like, oh, the only universe gives you what you can handle. No, bitch. Like, it's too much at times.
And that's
Pause.
Yeah, and that's one thing is if it does become too much, that is up to you to make sure that within yourself, within your brain, that you're going to take action on that.
Protect your peace and boundaries.
Yeah. Put a bubble around.
Yep. That's what I've been doing, and it's working.
Put a bubble around.
If I don't want to associate with somebody, I'm like, no.
Deuces.
Nope, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Worked for me this week, I guess. Literally put it in effect.
Yeah. Yeah. So we carry on the tradition around here. And we don't do any harm to other. We don't want any negative energy. We just know.
And we build and develop new, which is kind of cool.
We're going to tell you a story before we go here. So my father had passed away a few years ago. And they do this tournament for him because he was the president of the Portland Softball Association. So Jewel and I finally went yesterday.
I mean, I think we didn't go before because it was going to be too hard.
Yeah.
Because they really, really do love him. And that's like another part of his family was the softball team, I guess.
So why don't you tell the story of how I'm keeping score?
So, yeah, I mean, we only really know... I only knew two people there because I grew up with them. But the team is my grandpa's team, Tumbling Dice, which, if you know my grandfather, he's a Rolling Stones fan. Yeah. And that is a Rolling Stones thing. So it just all ties together. Anyways, so we go there to support and we're watching. And then it comes to be we move fields. And one of the family friends is like, hey, can you keep score? And Mom's like, yeah, okay. Yep. It's been a minute, but I'm going to do it.
Yep.
The other team had their shit fucked up, though. That Mom was all fucked up for a hot second. They had it all weird. But anyways, I think it was a good, we were halfway into the game already. And there's this one girl who was nervous. And Mom was like, you got this, really extra rooted her on. And she turned to Mom and goes... I'm channeling my inner Eddie. She literally said that, and she didn't miss one. Literally right after she fucking smacked the shit out of that ball.
Right where Dad would hit it.
And right through people and let it fly by them. And I'm like, I cheered on. I was like, woo, yeah. I think Grandpa went into her right there and fucking was like, gave her that juice.
Yeah, and I had his ashes wrapped around my neck because
he was with us.
Yeah,
But that was just a really cool moment where she was like, I'm channeling my Eddie, and then just fucking smacked it. I wish I would have had it on video because she literally did smack it out. It wasn't out of the park, but it was right down the middle where people couldn't get the ball. And
right.
It was great. It was really full circle moment.
So it's things like that. You have to pay attention, especially with your loved ones. If there's something similar of a pattern that is happening, on a loved one that is no longer with you and you see those signs over and over and over again, that just means that loved one is with you all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I say this to you often. I feel like I don't know how or why, but I think about it and I do. My spirit that I feel like I'm always drawn to is my Aunt Jerry. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I don't know why, but she's just always there in my forefront. I think about her all the time, every week.
Yeah, and during a hard time of your pregnancy, she was there too. So.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was great.
So you got to remember there's all sorts of people
Yes.
out there, and they're not going to all believe in the same thing.
Different belief system.
But then other people don't fully understand like what we believe in. Also,
100%. 100%.
you know, there's so many different types of all types of religion, and we tend to more be the natural. You know,
I believe out there that in some aspect, I mean, I know there's atheists, but I believe in other than that, I think some like similar belief system, it's all spirituality. Like in some sort of way, people believe in spirituality, spiritual beings, because you can't deny that people who believe in God, God is a spiritual being.
and remember when you're dressing up for Halloween, the whole reason why you're dressing up is because the veil is thinned, and you're hiding from those bad spirits. That's why you're dressing up. Right, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny when we talk about dressing up because, like, you would think, like, because, like, us women, right? They're like, oh, women go for the sexy stuff, right? I was the fucking Joker. I was the Joker last year. And I'm literally thinking about being a fucking bat or a vampire. So I don't go for the sexy
Freaking
shit.
bats.
Yeah.
I love freaking bats.
Yeah. And so I just think that's quite funny. And like, if you look at the stuff my years before, I don't think I've ever been a sexy anything. It's always been something fun. So women, don't ever think that you just gotta
You were
go
a
for
bee
the...
one year.
I was a bee.
You
Save
were
the
a bee.
bees.
Save the bees, man.
Yeah.
We need that honey.
Fuck. I don't know. There's been a lot of bees out lately. I mean, I think we said it a lot to where they're like, here we are.
Yep.
Because I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed them a lot during the summertime this year.
Yep. They tried to crawl into our table. We had to tape it so they're like, so
were
they wouldn't be.
pissed.
Well, there's no way they could have done a honeycomb right there, okay? Because
It wouldn't have been safe.
It wouldn't have been safe. They would have died anyway.
And then somewhere along the line of our fencing, there's some...
Yeah.
Simon found some bees.
Yeah, but you can't be killing the bees.
Nope. No, because we don't have a lot of them.
So remember, during this time period, if
Can't
you feel
cause harm to others.
you can't cause harm,
And those are living things.
oh, you can't cause harm. Okay, during this time, you can't be causing harm to others.
No.
You got to pay attention, especially right now.
Stranger danger.
It's because your loved ones might be giving you little signals that you just normally haven't been paying attention to, and it would be really cool if you would pay attention.
Also, side note, stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
Times are getting really crowded, Biggie. Like when you go into places, it's really crowded because of holidays.
Stranger danger.
Hang on to your kids. Buddy system. Hang on to your friends. Stranger danger.
Stranger danger.
But
No, we're just joking. We're not going to pass out Narcan over here. But,
No.
it's getting really bad over here. We were...
no, it may be IOUs this year because of inflation. I mean, that's the thing. The government's not accommodating for us to keep doing all these big celebrations.
No. So let's stay true to yourself.
Yep. Pay attention to all those intuitions, all those things.
And always take time for yourself, especially during the season. Sip some tea, try to relax, unwind, all these kind of crazy things that are happening around. The black candle already was lit by a virgin.
But since we're speaking of changing of the seasons, I'm gonna make my best friend listen to this one because I'm calling both of us out. So you know how people say like, oh, when this weather comes, like, oh, it's seasonal depression. Me and my best friend have backwards. So when it's the summertime, that's our seasonal depression. We're like, ew, the sun, like we are literally like vampires, like get the fuck away from us. Then this stuff happens, the cloudiness, and we're like, yes, this is the best. Like we are so happy. We're like, yes, this is it. So I don't know about y'all. Maybe I don't know, but I'm not a sun person. I also have things that keep me from being able to be in front of the sun too. So, but me and my friend were like, yes, like we literally, people like, you know how people are like, oh, when you have nothing to talk about, you talk about the weather. Me and my friend talk about the weather because we love it. Like we will text each other and be like, it's cloudy today, smiley face. We're so happy.
In the eclipse, we were out in it, but we didn't get to see it. In Oregon, we didn't
No,
see
but she
crap.
kept yelling at me and my dad to stop trying to look at it. She's
Yeah,
like,
I'm
don't look
don't
at
look,
it.
don't look directly at it.
But
Okay,
you guys
it
could
will
have used
burn
your
into your soul.
you guys could have used your glasses from 2017, and supposedly they still would have worked.
But all it did here is we were on our way to the fields, and all it did was kind of get dark, and then it.
It shined through the clouds a little bit, actually,
Yeah.
but nothing too.
We
big.
didn't see no ring of fire. So
No, and everybody's was all red. I was like, I don't see that.
yeah, we just weren't in that area. It's just like cloudy, got dark.
That's fine. Maybe our eyes.
It didn't get like dark.
No.
It just was like dusk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys get into that spirit.
Pay attention to all those little things.
As
you get closer.
Always sprinkle some cinnamon on the first of the month.
Yep. If you're around negative people, or like, so like, for instance, like you're like living in apartments or anything like that, get yourself some black salt.
Yep.
Sprinkle that shit.
Do it everywhere.
And
Get yourself a broom. You can make one. Mm-hmm. And if you have trees in your yard, you can make one.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, bought. Making one is great.
Yes.
And then it's your intention.
Yes.
And it's always your intention. And try to protect yourself from negative people.
Negative people, negative spirits, negative everything.
Mm-hmm. So until next time, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Jewel.
Our show is produced by us. Our theme song is by Come Back Karma. Don't forget to like and subscribe.